I'm joined now by the co-host of Pod Save America, Tommy Vietor. Tommy, thanks for joining me.
Brian, great to see you. Glad you made it here safely with all the anarchy on the streets here.
I had to, evade some Marines and U.S. troops, but finally made my way here.
Brian is wearing body armor.
I am. I'm always wearing.
That's
body
just
armor.
your pec.
Those are just my pecs, Tommy. We can take this one offline.
Got it.
So obviously all of this is happening in L.A. right now, and Kristi Noem was holding a press conference. We have Border Barbie right here in L.A.
Great to see.
I'm going to throw to a clip of Senator Padilla confronting her.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
How many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted.
So first and foremost, can I get your reaction on the fact that, this was Senator Padilla trying to get some answers out of her as they commit this unprecedented action against the people of LA? Again, the federalizing the National Guard, sending in the U.S. Marines to our city. Can I have your reaction to the fact that their top priority was making sure that he didn't get a word in edgewise?
Yeah, I mean, they wanted to silence him, obviously, but they also they rough him up pretty bad. I mean, and you can't ignore the broader context of Tom Homan threatening to put Gavin Newsome in jail, then kind of walking it back, and then Trump saying, no, actually, I would throw Gavin Newsome in jail.
Yeah.
And someone was like, well, what was his crime? And he said, running for governor.
Right.
So, it is clear that Trump believes his political opponents are criminals and is absolutely fine having federal authorities rough them up or lock them up or God knows what.
So obviously all of this is happening in LA right now, and this was done by design by Donald Trump, broadly as a way for him to be able to distract from a really bad week of news. The fallout with Elon Musk, his budget reconciliation bill that would kick 14 million people off of their health care, that would strip food assistance away to the tune of $300 billion, that would explode the deficit. And so he wanted to send the troops into Los Angeles and inflame tensions, and that's what he's done. But inadvertently, he's elevated the profile of Gavin Newsom, who has been really aggressive in responding to everything that he's doing. So would you consider this a backfire for Donald Trump in the sense that, look, he was just trying to get some heat off of himself, and instead he's giving a platform for Gavin Newsom to elevate his own profile, and on an issue that polling is already showing is increasingly worse and worse for Donald Trump on this issue?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the polling you saw too, which suggests that people don't love the military being deployed to their streets.
Yeah, weird.
Who would have thought?
Weird that the libs don't like it, and weird that the Don't Tread on Me Republicans don't like it.
I mean, it seems pretty obvious. Also, I mean, to your point, initially these were some relatively small protests. We're talking about like a couple hundred people in some instances.
Yeah.
Yes, people were violent. There were anarchists out there. They were out of control. Those people who committed crimes should be arrested and thrown in jail. But the LAPD has 9,000 officers.
Right.
They have a fleet of helicopters. They have like 40 horses.
Right. They could technically put like 200 cops to a protester and still be okay.
They could outnumber the protesters. So, the LAPD had this handled. They were going to figure it out. Trump sent these federal troops here to fan the flames. I do think, look, the politics of these things can shift over time. I do think a sustained period of what looks like chaos on the streets is bad. But I don't know that it will be bad for Democrats. I mean, Donald Trump is in charge. At some point, maybe voters will just blame him for this happening.
I literally saw a tweet from some right-wing influencer that showed some picture of a protest. I mean, it said Biden's protest. Like, perfectly willing to just there will never be a point at which these folks do not just continuously blame Joe Biden for all of the failures of Donald Trump.
They're blaming Joe Biden for everything that's happening in June of 2025, while also suggesting that he was so far declined mentally that he auto-penned everything and that we need to review everything he ever did for 4 years.
It's very convenient.
Make that work.
In terms of Newsom's response to everything that's happening, I'm curious what your kind of reaction to everything that you've seen thus far. I mean, he's definitely been in the news, hasn't shirked away from anything that's happening. And so how do you think, A, he's been responding to this, and B, this positions him as we move toward 2028?
Yeah, I mean, I've been excited to see it. I mean, first of all, like, it does feel like it's different when you live in a city. Like, it does feel like an attack on us. It does feel like we're being singled out and lied about, both in the press and by the President of the United States.
Oh, you mean when Republicans are saying that all of Los Angeles is on fire?
Yeah.
Hits you a different way?
Yeah, it's pretty goddamn annoying. And Trump's, like, making fun of L.A. for having dealt with the fires last year, or whenever that was, January, which were very scary. So, yeah, I think it's been great to see Gavin Newsom stand up and to fight and to punch back hard. He seems like someone who cares deeply about the substance of what's happening, but also someone who's going to, like, if he's going to get in a fight, he's going to fight to win. So I've been excited about it.
And that's, I think, been the biggest lesson, hopefully for all Democrats, is to recognize that there's an incentive structure to actually fight back hard. Something that he's done that I've been really appreciative of, and something that I've seen other people be really appreciative of, is him moving quickly to respond to all of this.
Yep.
And so often it looks like Democrats will just, like, some crisis will happen, will get together and, like, start polling some poll-tested
Or a
responses.
conference call in 3 days.
Have a conference call.
Sort
Like,
it out.
if this is happening on Sunday, we've got a call scheduled for Wednesday. He came out immediately, and he's been speaking. I mean, I interviewed him on Sunday night. I think you guys interviewed him on Monday. He was on MSNBC. He was on other independent shows. He was on our friend Alex Michelson's show for Fox LA. And so he's getting out there quickly. And I think that should be a lesson to other Democrats to learn how not to allow this perpetual vacuum to come into existence that Republicans can immediately fill, because they know how slow Democrats are to respond. He has been relentless in responding, relentless in reaching out to folks on indie media, national media, local media, and making sure to get his message out there so that he can define the terms of the conversation and not just watch Republicans do it for him.
Yeah, because the Republicans want this to be about a couple idiots on a Waymo burning it, right?
Yeah.
Like, they want it to look scary and dangerous. What Gavin Newsom has done a really effective job doing is talking about the people he's meeting in Latino communities in Los Angeles who have done nothing wrong, but who are terrified to leave their homes. You know, they can't go to the doctor, they can't go to graduations. Like, people are being terrorized. And it's ripping apart communities, and it's harming the economy in Los Angeles. Like, it's doing a bunch of damage. And so I'm glad that he is out there fighting and trying to frame the debate.
And we are seeing it have major impacts on the economy, which is why Trump took to Truth Social today. Our great farmers and people of the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good long-time workers away from them, with those jobs being almost impossible to replace. In many cases, the criminals allowed into our country by the very stupid Biden open border policy are applying for these jobs. And so this is Trump trying to backtrack on his own policy, which has become a recurring theme in this administration, recognizing that his own policy of literally chasing migrants in these fields where they're picking food that Americans eat, or going to construction sites where they're building homes that Americans buy, is he's suddenly discovering that that's having adverse impacts on the economy.
That tweet made no sense. ICE is arresting people and they're being replaced by criminals that Biden. Like, what are you talking about? Just his desperate effort to try and, I mean, it's really just him throwing word salad out there as a way to justify his eventual rollback of this policy. Yeah, or trying to say something that suggests we're going to moderate the policy and get the PR win off of that, and then absolutely let Stephen Miller run roughshod.
Well, that's the question. Do you think that, I mean, clearly if there was enough pressure on him to be able to say this, do you think that we are going to see some degree of rollback, or do you think that, you know, the lunacy of Stephen Miller in his ear is not going to allow him to moderate at all?
I think the kind of Rosetta Stone, the key to understanding all of this, is knowing that Stephen Miller walked into ICE, told them they were acting like a bunch of P words and that they had to arrest 3,000 people a day or else, heads would roll. And I think the only way that you can do that is by going to job sites, is by arresting people who have been here for decades, who have jobs, who are paying taxes and contributing to society, have never broken a law. So I think that Trump's tweet is PR. He probably got a bunch of calls from, rich billionaires who own hotels or own farms or whatever, and he's trying to, satiate them. But that ultimately Stephen Miller is the guy calling the shots, and he's going to just want to harm as many undocumented people as he possibly can.
Yeah. What do you make of the fact that, according to the latest polling, even on this issue, and remember, like, the issues of the economy and immigration are generally his top performing issues, even on this issue, as he continues to play this stuff out, he's losing his approval even where he's strongest? Yeah,
I think people just kind of inherently know that having the U.S. military police Americans is a bad idea. There's just something kind of obvious about that. It's not because, if you've read a little history, you know about Kent State, or you know about, a lot of the images we've seen over time, but it just seems like fascistic and like over the top and unnecessary.
Yeah, and something that we've spoken about, on our other series on Liberal Tears, which is on Pod Save America's YouTube channel. And if you are not yet subscribed to Pod Save America's YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe, because it helps us build up this entire pro-democracy ecosystem. I'll put the link on the screen and also in the post description of this video. But something we spoke about is this idea that this isn't just going to be limited to Los Angeles. Like, Donald Trump doesn't just want to be viewed as an autocrat in the eyes of Angelenos. He's not just trying to strike fear in the hearts of Angelenos. This is his test case, and if he can roll it out here in a pretty easy target, big blue city in a big blue state with Gavin Newsom, the boogeyman of the right, in charge of all of us. If he can do it here, then it's going to be easier to roll out once he then gets to New York, Chicago, and then go into some red states, Austin, Dallas. And so, look, like, Donald Trump, in his authoritarian tendencies, is not looking to just limit his power to certain cities. He wants to do it everywhere. That's going to be the natural conclusion of all of this. And so regardless of where you live, if you don't want an autocratic, all-powerful ruler to be able to deploy the U.S. military to fucking Marines on your street corner, then this is the time to speak out. And I think that, even folks who kind of tend right are recognizing the dangerous, slippery slope that this presents.
Yeah, I think he's trying to normalize the idea and image of the U.S. military on the streets of America for no good reason.
Yeah.
And whereas last time he had professionals like General Jim Mattis in charge of the Pentagon, now he's got Pete Hegseth, who will do and say everything he wants. There's no one left to push back on him. There has been this ideological purge of senior Pentagon leadership so that, people of color or anyone who disagrees with kind of the MAGA orthodoxy has been pushed out. And so, look, things could get a lot worse, right? Like, there could be a terrorist attack. There could be some exigent event that leads Trump to declare a state of emergency or some curtailing of civil liberties. And if he's already kind of normalized the idea of the U.S. military being a part of that, it gets a hell of a lot easier.
Well, and part of the normalization of the military becoming his own personal plaything is the fact that this weekend he has his birthday parade where he's going to trot out I think 6,600 troops and 150 vehicles, and I'm sure some, airplanes and whatnot. And you were just telling me offline that you spent a boatload of money to make sure that you had good seating for this.
Well, I wanted to fly their business and get a great hotel room so where I could just watch the whole thing happen. Yeah. They would not let me jump out of the plane with the Golden Knights.
Yeah,
it's a real bummer.
Yeah, you were pretty upset about that.
I was pretty pissed, but I am. I bought a bunch of Trump coin.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get a tour of the White House later.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that part.
Yeah. Well, that will maybe that will help the lobbying to get Favs out of the gulag in his incessant fights with Stephen Miller on Twitter.
It's been tough having John in ICE custody just because who hosts on Thursdays?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. In terms of the actual effect that this parade is going to have, notwithstanding the fact that it may actually rain, and so we might not see a parade, which would be
or destroy all the streets of Washington D.C. and cost $45 million.
Do you think that there's any? I mean, I understand the benefit for him in the sense of he gets to feed his ego, which is really the most important thing. As long as we're all here to feed dear leader's ego, then all is well in the world. But do you presume that this is going to have any benefit for people who aren't already on the Trump train? Is somebody going to look at this? Is some swing voter somewhere going to see this and say, like, I was on the fence about Donald Trump, or I wasn't sure about, I keep hearing about his dictatorial tendencies, but now that we have this North Korea-style military parade rolling down Pennsylvania Avenue, I think I'm finally on board.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine anyone being super into this. I could imagine people finding it weird. I mean, I do think it would be helpful if Democrats were to do an effective job on TikTok and social media platforms of juxtaposing what these parades look like in North Korea and Russia and these other autocratic states with whatever we see on Saturday. Of course, maybe the images won't match up, but I imagine that missiles parading through the streets will look rather Soviet, and people might not like that.
Yeah, and just a reminder for folks, a really great way that we can all fight back against this, other than just posting about how shitty, fascist, and authoritarian it is that there is counterprogramming happening across the country. That's the No Kings Day protest on Saturday, June 14th. So you can go to nokings.org, or Vote Save America also has a section on their website as well.
If you click the volunteer tab, it can help you find events near you.
Yeah, and so there's going to be 1,800 protests across the country. Make sure that you come out. I don't think there's going to be any protest in Washington, D.C., and that's for the best. We don't want any violence or any clashes or anything like that. But to see Donald Trump's flaccid military parade take place in Washington, D.C., and to see the split screen between the millions upon millions upon millions of people that are going to be taking to the streets across the entire United States is going to show just just how insignificant his vanity parade looks like when you contrast that with what the rest of the country looks like coming out in opposition to him.
Yeah, I think hopefully he'll look weak. It'll look weird. I hope it gets rained on. I hope his birthday sucks.
Yeah, that's a perfect place to leave off. We hope his birthday sucks. With that said, again, one quick.
Can I
note.
try one joke
Yeah.
by you? You had mentioned the Trump-Elon feud. Ketamine girls.
Ketamine girls. I like that.
Is there something there?
I like that. Maybe an episode title.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt the
That's
ending
okay.
of the show.
With that said, again, if you're not yet subscribed to Pod Save America's YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe. It helps us build this progressive media ecosystem so that when new people come online, come onto YouTube, search podcast looking for political content, they're not just automatically served right-wing content. So I'll put that link right here on the screen and also in the post description. If you're listening on the podcast, I'll stick it in the show notes. Tommy, appreciate you taking the time, man.
Hey, good luck getting back to your bunker.
Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.